So let's get into question and answer time. First question comes from who? First question comes from Jenny in PJ, as in Malaysia. I know it's not good to over-explain, but is it necessary sometimes? And the answer is, yes, it is, of course. Whenever you see these rules are never set in stone. They're never set in stone. Like, for instance, there are times when you do want to explain because you want to show someone that you really, really care about a situation. For instance, let's say that you haven't seen your sister in a long time, and she lives like 3 hours away, and you're ready to go and visit her. And then what happens is the car breaks down or something else happens, right? Like, you're not going to say to your sister, oh, I haven't seen you in so many years, and sorry, I can't see you. I have other appointments. I have other commitments, right? Like, you can't say that. It's your sister, right? And you really want to show her that, hey, I really, really wanted to go. Just want to let you know, look, my car broke down. I'm trying to get it fixed. I'm not sure when I'm going to get this on time, so I probably can't meet you. So I don't want to hold you up, so you can probably go do something else, right? And your sister or your brother, whatever it is, probably going to say, oh, it's okay, I understand, because your car broke down, right? Oh, I had a really long night. My kids were up, this, and this. I don't have a car, but I have to take a bus. And the bus takes 3 hours, but the kids are cranky. I don't know if I can handle it. You know, and then when you explain a little bit more, it's okay in certain situations, right? But, you know, definitely you want to pick your battles, right? Not everyone needs all that explanation, right? And especially when it comes to work and other things, it's better to be, say less, okay? Let's go to the next question all the way over there in Singapore. We have Matt. Matt in Singapore asks, what if you have a very pushy boss that doesn't take no for an answer? How do we deal with this situation? All right. So, like I said, you have to pick your battles. Like, for instance, if someone doesn't say no for an answer, like it's your boss, and then you know it's going to affect your job, or you know that you might get fired, or you'll know the situation a lot better than I do. You want to pick your battles in that case, right? Say, hey, I can't, right? But if it's going to affect your work relationship or your life at work in a very negative way that outweighs, right, you not doing this, you need to really discern really well and which situation you should and shouldn't say, because eventually, if it comes down to saying yes to your boss or losing your job, you know, then you have to really assess and say, well, is it important enough for me to say no and stand up for what I believe in, or in my job, right? And that's something that you'd have to assess yourself, okay? So that's something that you'd have to discern on your own. Thank you, Matt in Singapore. Let's go to the next question all the way over there in Korea. It's Ichigo. Ichigo says, what should I do when everyone around me says no to me? No, right? So here's the thing. This is a little bit different situation, because it means that you are the one asking people now, right? You're the one asking other people, which means that we need to be okay with people saying no, because we can't really say to them, you're not busy. Oh, are you real? Who are you meeting? Where are you going? Like, we can't really say that either. We really don't know what other people are going through, or do sometimes people just need to take a break, right? So sometimes it could be that people are really busy, or sometimes it could be that we're not as confident and assertive when we ask people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when it's kind of like, hey, I'm not sure if you can, but can you help me? And then people like that, it's very easy to say no, because they're in a much stronger position, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to do this, and this. I was wondering if you can help me out here, da-da-da-da-da. And people who are much more assertive, people are more likely to say yes to them also. So it's either one of the other sides. It could be that they're really busy, and we shouldn't expect them to say yes, right? Should we expect them? Should they say yes? And the answer is no. Everyone has choice. Even if I have nothing to do in my life, nothing, and I just want to lie on the floor and spin around in circles or roll around on the floor, I still have a right to say no to anyone, and I would rather roll on the floor by myself. It's true, right? People have a choice, so what we do have to recognize that there is a choice that people have, and we have to respect that choice. They don't have to do anything for us, right? So when they say no, it's a no. Second thing, like I said, is just check yourself too, is how confident or how assertive are you when you ask? Or are you letting people just kind of, you put yourself in a very weak position also. So that's another thing you have to look at too, Ichigo. Right, great question. Let's go to the next question all the way over there in Japan. We have Ayaka. Ayaka in Japan is asking, when there's many tasks, I can't set the priority. Saying no is a big commitment for me. How can I say no so I can prioritize a task and use my time valuably? Okay, so saying no is a big commitment for me. Okay, so this is where we're going, right? So if just the saying no is a big commitment, that means you prioritize other people and what they think more than yourself. So your priority is everyone else is above you and you're below here, and you prioritize yourself over here because it's such a big commitment to say no. Why? Because these people are much more important to you. And of course, I'm going to tell you guys, in Asian countries, it's a little bit easier to think this way because it's a group think, right? The group matters more than the individual. If you guys go to America, you know what they say a lot? No. Why? Because the individual matters a little bit more. You'll hear it, I'm not saying that they all can say no, but you could hear it more often. No, sorry, can't do it. Sorry, can't help you. I'd rather twiddle my thumbs all day, right? What you have to understand is you have to reset your priority first about yourself. It has to come, you should be putting yourself above everyone else. You should, right? Understanding yourself is, can I do this? Can I not do this? Right? Your priority has to switch. It shouldn't be a big commitment to say no. It shouldn't, right? And you should be able to tell people, I'm sorry, I have other commitments. I can't do this, right? And I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are assertive and confident in your answers, people will just go to someone else and ask, hey, can you do this for me? Oh, I'm so sorry. I have other appointments. I have other things that I had to do first, so I can't do this for you. I'm sorry. You'll be surprised how many people are like, okay, and they move on. Or people usually will ask one more time, are you sure? And you'll be like, yeah, I'm sorry. What do you say in Japan? Sumimasen. Iie. Sumimasen. Right? You're like, no, I can't. Right? And they'll be like, oh, and smile like, oh, I can't do it. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they'll go and ask someone else. You gotta understand, people are saying no for it to get to you. And you could be the first person and you just say no. They're gonna go to someone else. Right? So prioritizing is not so much what you're trying to prioritize, but in this situation, Ayaka, the no is a big commitment, which when it shouldn't be. I know it's a little bit scary, but I do suggest you practice in the mirror. I'm dead serious too. Practice. Because sometimes we're not used to saying no to someone and we feel like it's like awkward. It's like, hey, can you do this? Nah. And it gets really awkward, right? It's always going to be like that. But just be confident and say, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I have other things. And they'll be like, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Oh, okay. And then they move on, right? So you need to practice saying no too, because if you're not used to saying no, when it comes out, it's going to sound really weird. Excuse me? Okay, you got to practice it, okay? All right, Ayaka, thank you so much for asking that. We will go on to Hannah in Japan. Hannah Yusan, which is Filipino in Japan. Hannah asks, there are times when I say yes and commit to doing something until the end, but then is it bad to say no, especially when I realize that in the long run, I actually cannot? Yes, like that's a perfect way to look at it. Perfect way. If someone asks you to do something once, it's a little bit different than, can you do this for me from now on? Much, much different, right? So if there is something you can commit to in the short run, you should say it and say, hey, I can help you out for 3 weeks. And be very clear about it. Oh, yeah, you know what? I just want to let you know that I have another thing that's starting up in 3 weeks, so I can help you until this time. So, in this case, if you want to help, but you can't do it until the very, very end, one of the things you could do is set a deadline and say, hey, I'm sorry, you know what, I can do it for the next 3 weeks, but after that, I can't do it. I'm going to be busy after that time. So I can help you if that's okay, right? And you can set that time too. So sometimes, in some cases, if you do have time and you can do it in the beginning, it's okay to set a time. I can help you first 2 weeks. Yeah, and I can't do anything after that. right? And you set that time and you allow them to understand your full situation. Oh, I can help you. But starting in September, I actually can't do it anymore because I'll be starting a job or I'll be doing something. I have another commitment, right? You don't want to get too deep into it, right? And you can do it in that way too. Or if you just don't feel, just say no. Because like, yeah, you know, you can't do it, right? You don't have to explain so much. Just, oh, I got other things right now on my plate. So I can't really, I won't be able to do this thing here, right? Pick and choose your battles and understand, look at the things that you're, you know, whatever you say yes to is denying a yes later in the future that you might be looking for a little bit later, right? That's why they say no opens up space for you to say yes to something you really want. Okay, let's go over to Axel in the Philippines. Hello, Axel. He says, I have a hard time saving money because I just can't say no to myself in buying stuff like food. What should I do? Oh my goodness, I think a lot of people are struggling with that. You know what? For me too, today, I was having lunch at a Japanese place, and after I was like, oh, I should get a drink. And I just started walking around and I found this bubble tea place. And in my head, I'm like, man, I'm gonna have bubble tea tonight. And actually, I did have another bubble tea before that too, right? Either way, I was like, I'm gonna have bubble tea tonight. And I stood in line and I'm getting ready to order. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And I actually, right before it was my turn to go up, I left. I left like, I don't need this. And I left. But I was tempted, like, come on, just get it, right? One thing when it comes, we should actually do one on saving money and budgeting. But either way, when it comes to saving your money, because that's, you know, when it comes to saving your money, you need to have a reason why you're saving. Because if your reason for saving is not good enough or big enough, actually, it just saving money is not going to be inspiring for you. It just won't be. Yeah, you need to have some reason to save money other than I should save money for a rainy day. No, you should have a reason, like I'm gonna buy a car. I'm going to save up for a ring for my fiance. I need this money to help my mom. I want to give my mom a gift, right? There has to be something that's really compelling for you so that you have a real reason to save, right? And that's something that you have to understand in your own heart and your own mind, and that's going to help you out a lot better too. All right, Axel, thank you so much, which means we're going to go into today's bubble tea quiz, okay? Today's bubble tea quiz for a delicious, juicy, scrumptious, refreshing, I don't know about scrumptious, right? Refreshing bubble tea for you guys, wherever you are. The question is from the Avengers, and the question is, who is the actor that plays Spider-Man? Go ahead and write that, and when I'll show you the number of which person we're going to choose, who is the actor that plays Spider-Man right now? Played it in the current Avengers, in the last Spider-Man movie was Mysterio. His first name could rhyme with palm, and his last name is another word for the Netherlands. Either way, write them down, and then we're going to go into the last question of the day. Last question of the day is from Amor Solis. Amor Solis is asking from the Philippines, how to get rid of feeling guilty or regret after saying no. So here's the thing. You know, one of the reasons why there's a lot of guilt, right? And there's a lot of like, oh no, I don't feel and I regret after saying no. Like for instance, regretting after you say no, why would you regret, right? Like the only ones you regret is the ones you really, really should have done. Like, oh, I really should have done that, right? And on the flip side, you feel guilty because you didn't do it, right? But you're like, oh, I really feel for these people. One thing you really have to understand yourself really well in this case, right? That's why that first part was very important, is starting to understand what yes and no really means, right? Getting rid of the negative connotations behind a no, right? No is not a bad thing, remember. No is not a negative thing. We have to realize that knowing yourself, knowing what you really want, if I have my focus here, but then I keep adding all these things around and I can't even get this thing done, what does that mean? It means that even the very thing, like say it's my work, my life, my passion, like let's say something important, like even taking care of your kids. You probably don't have kids, right? But imagine just taking care of your kids, but you say yes to all these things, you neglect your children, right? What you should be feeling worse about is not about the stuff you said no to or the stuff you regret, right? No, you should feel more guilty about the things that are really important, like taking care of your kids and neglecting them instead, right? And that's why we have to, one of the big things we have to have in our minds is understanding, right, the importance of self, right? Importance of who I am, what I really need. If you're a mother, your number one priority, I'm sorry, is your family, by far. If you're a student, your number one thing should be what? Should be family. It shouldn't change, right? You're like going, oh, shouldn't it be school? No, because if your mom's dying in the hospital, it's not like, I have a test, I can't go to the hospital. It should always be, it's just, for those of you who are spiritual, who have faith, God is always number one, right? But when it comes to the first, it's about God, then we put ourselves, and then we have our family, and then all these other you have friends and other different people we put into our priorities. But you should set your priorities. And you shouldn't feel bad, right, that why would your friends all of a sudden be, like, say, above God? Right? Let's say, if you have faith, for me, having someone above God, that would be crazy. I don't even put myself above God, right? So when you understand your priorities, you understand who you are, what you really want at that time. When I say at that time, means sometimes the things we want change, right? You have to understand yourself, understand your priorities, and always be checking according to priorities. Yes, sometimes the top 5 shuffle every now and then, right? Like, for instance, your mom says, hey, you're gonna eat dinner today? Of course family's important, but of course if you have a big test, but it's a dinner, same dinner you've always had every single day. They're like, oh mom, I'm sorry, I got a big test, is okay? Yeah, it's fine. So you have to understand is you have the top 5. And the top 5, it's very, very strong, and every once in a while things shift here and there, right? Like even going to church on Sunday, like if you have your mom's funeral, your dad's funeral, or just something that's really, like one of those things, is not like you're gonna like, oh, I can't because I can't skip church. Like we have to be very reasonable about these things too, right? So you want to set your priorities, understand yourself really well, and be very reasonable with yourself. And this is when it's very, very easy to not feel guilty because you understand what is most important. Yeah. Like if we took things that are very, very, very clear to us, like let's just say I'm a person of faith, and one of the things I don't want to do is lie. Right? I don't want to lie. But your boss says to you, oh, I have a meeting, but these people think this, but can you lie for me? And then I'll give you more money. Would I exchange my standard of my morals of God, like what God wants from me more than my boss wants from me, for a little bit more money? And the answer is no. Right? I'm not going to sit there like, oh no, I got to do this for my boss. No, I'm not going to do it. Right? And there's things that I see, and I'm not going to feel bad about it. I'm just not. I'm not going to feel bad about not lying for someone who asked me to lie for them so that they can do better in work. Like, I'm not going to feel bad about that, right? Because I understand my priorities, right? So Amor, Salis, yeah, it's good to have an exercise where you can set down your priorities too. For me, it's like God, myself, my family, friends, and all these other different things like this too, right? So I hope that you guys too will be able to set those things in order, and hope that everyone can have a wonderful and amazing weekend. See you Saturdays, all right, everyone? See you on Saturday at the See You Saturday, 1 p.m. Go ahead and sign up, and we'll see you guys again. Everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys again in next week's Bubble Talk. Bye-bye.